I have a feeling you've done this before, Danny,
Why?
because you have some really good answers.
I have a feeling you've done it before.
New York City has its own rhythm, alive in every sense of the word. Sidewalks and a constant cycle, pumping with the flow of people. The lifeblood that constantly courses through a tangled network of streets, each punctuated by restaurants, shops, bodegas, and all the madness essential to a big city. But there is no big city quite like NYC, and I'm here to talk to someone who has his finger of the pulse of it all. Someone whose approach to hospitality has influenced an entire industry and inspired restaurateurs around the world. I'm here in the Big Apple to spend the day with hospitality god Danny Meyer. As a chef, I need to stay curious in order to evolve. For me, that means looking beyond a good meal to learn more about who made it and what inspires them to cook. Every great city has great food. I'm going on a journey around the world. I'm on a quest to find passionate chefs who cooks from the heart, to prove that food is love.
Gotta be delicious. Food is love. Love your food.
Dear audience, the following is a disclaimer about this episode. If you're expecting a heartfelt story or the typical deep dive into the food scene, this isn't gonna be it. What you're about to watch can best be described as a complete and total exploitation of my position as host of this show. A self-serving effort to spend time with someone who I look up to as a hospitality deity, a mortal attempt to touch the garment of the hospitality prophet himself. My goal is to pick the brain of and rub elbows with one of my heroes. A wildly successful restaurateur, Danny Meyer's restaurants stretch around the world, from St. Louis to Korea. His work and philosophy on hospitality set the standard, and Danny chose New York for a long list of successful concepts, and the proving ground for a forward-thinking approach to hospitality. Daily Provisions in West Manhattan is where we're meeting. A local favorite, and even despite its position in the middle of the home, it has the feel of a small cafe. That feeling is by design.
Welcome to Daily Provisions.
Your day, does that start here? Is this what you do? You check in one of your breakfast restaurants first thing?
Often. My day always starts with reading all of our dining reports from the night before. So every one of our restaurants, the maitre d' or the manager writes a full report. Everyone who dined there last night, where they sat, what they ate, if anything good or not good came up, how many covers did we serve, what were our revenues at every single restaurant. So that's always first thing. And then I often go to the gym, as I did today, because I have an eating habit.
Yeah.
And then I'll often check into one of the Daily Provisions, which are open for breakfast. Phone calls, meetings with, my colleagues. It can be meetings with our chefs. We talk about food all the time. You just never know what each day is going to hold.
Well, I mean, that's what makes us different as restaurateurs, right? We don't know what the day is going to bring, and we're that one group of people that can pivot.
We obviously love that.
Yeah, and of course, yeah.
There are days when I look at myself and I go, what the heck are you doing anyway? And then I go, you know exactly what you're doing and you love it.
Yeah, you have that crazy gene, that's why we are restaurateurs.
Well, it's kind of funny you say that, because without my knowing it, it had been a lifelong dream of mine to open a restaurant. I didn't really know it until I was in my early 20s. And then I opened Union Square Cafe when I was 27 years old. And literally, as I opened the door for the opening night party at the age of 27, I just burst into tears. I think in retrospect, I must have known that this was going to be something I couldn't get out of. While I had realized a dream, it was the starting point to something that I could never imagine.
Did you grow up in a family where food was like the center?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
I grew up in St. Louis, and my dad was in the travel business. His business was to design tours for people to go to Europe. Started off in France. As a matter of fact, when I was like 6, 7 years old, we had the sons and daughters of French innkeepers living in our home. We had a little dog named Ratatouille, which was my dad's favorite dish to cook. In fact, I can still smell the
Yeah.
olive oil before he would,
Yeah.
saute the eggplant. Man, those were some special days. But we always had food around the house. There was always a bottle of French wine on the dinner table. I got to cook at an early age with my dad. It was usually barbecuing or grilling. And he was not a very careful griller. In fact, often the flames would lick up on the fat of whatever it was he was grilling, and he would take a bottle of Beaujolais and pour it on top of the meat to put out the flames. I guess the Beaujolais was pretty inexpensive back then.
Yeah.
I would wake up early in the morning before anyone was awake and go in the refrigerator. Sometimes I would cook something first thing in the morning, and I don't know why the smell didn't wake them up, but I would hide all the evidence before everybody woke up. And, even though the restaurants, in retrospect, were not great in St. Louis in terms of the food back in the 60s and 70s when I grew up, there was something I was picking up there, and I think it was hospitality. I think that invariably they were places that were happy to see you.
Yeah.
And they were nice, and I remember a lot of those meals. I really do. Hey, Claudia, thank you. Now we got to try a little bit of love from Daily Provisions first thing this morning.
Thank you.
Bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. I'm going to urge you to do something before we start. Before we do the bacon, egg, and cheese, you're going to do the maple one last because there's no going back after you've done that.
So my dad was a pastry chef.
Well, I want your dad to weigh in on that bite.
So I grew up with Danish pastries, which are really light and airy too. Oh, wow.
It's not a bad donut, right?
I've never had this before.
Isn't that good?
Wow, it's good.
It's almost like juicy on the inside. So we always have these two on the menu, the cinnamon and the maple. And then each month we do a cruller of the month. And this is chai tea. Why don't we try this one? I think if you can take something that everyone already has a benchmark,
Yeah.
and make that an elevated version. And so the goal of Daily Provisions, it's a pretty small restaurant. We're open all day. We serve different things all day, but if you're going to get on the menu, the license to get on our little menu is we have to believe that you're a top 3 version of whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
So that's why the menu is not very big, because we haven't figured out how to make a top 3 version of that many things. But that should be one of your 3 favorite donuts of all time. If you get our roast chicken at night, it should be one of your top 3 roast chickens. So it's fun, but it's also hard. Who made those amazing bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches?
It was delicious.
Perfect. Thank you.
Really no surprise that Daily Provisions hit a high mark, but I was sold when I got a taste of that crawler.
All crullers are donuts, but not all donuts are crullers.
Next, we on to check on Danny's Italian concept. Just upstairs, Sisiamo is helmed in the kitchen by acclaimed chef Hilary Sterling.
Beat Hilary Sterling is what I want to see.
With house-made pastas and live fire cooking, complementing a well-curated wine list. An open, spacious kitchen, buzzing with movement, busy hands, prepping for a busy evening. Just the kind of environment to trick a chef's PTSD. And if I'm honest, maybe a little FOMO too. Perhaps a quieter location and some hospitality philosophy is in order.
Everybody considers you the hospitality guru, right? What makes a great restaurateur?
They all have a few things in common. One is that they have what I call a combination of ADD and OCD. They can't keep track of all the things they're obsessing about.
Yeah.
It's just because restaurants are one detail after the next. And we love that. You gotta love caring about the details. You gotta love that, oh my gosh, there's a little bit of water on the table right there, and that picture's not exactly level, and why isn't that table smiling when their food arrives? It's just caring deeply about a lot of things. So there's that. I also think that great restaurateurs love food. And more than anything, they love, this is a little bit weird, but great restaurateurs love watching other people enjoy what they've cooked. I've actually stood behind a wall of wine that is a glass and watched our diners through that wall, not to be nosy, but because it just makes me so happy to see people smiling when they eat it. And if they're not, I want to do something about it. I think great restaurateurs care that however people felt when they first came into your restaurant, that they leave feeling even better.
Do you think that the basics is still the same today as it was when you started?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we now do because we have to do. People are much more interested in convenience. You can have all the convenience you want, and sometimes we want that of a food delivered to your home, but you're not going to get the experience of a real restaurant there, and I just don't think that's ever going to go away.
Restaurateurs especially, I mean, we are a great format for how you should treat each other, right? Because we don't get into politics, because we love everybody that comes to our restaurants. We have such a diverse group of people we work with in the kitchen, and we always get things done because we have to. So maybe everybody that's in politics should be working in a restaurant for at least a year.
I think everyone in this country should.
Yeah.
Really, I think what you just said is so true. There is something a little bit like the military, that people from all different walks of life come together as one team,
Yeah.
with one goal that we all have in common, and that's to make people feel good. The whole notion of serving someone else and believing that if I can make you happy, that's the best reward I can get. It's like giving a hug. If I really want to get a hug, best thing I do is give one.
Yeah.
And I think that people in this industry learn how to do that. And they learn how to do that with all kinds of people, sometimes tough customers. But if you can kind of put your own ego aside and be part of a team that has that goal, it's a pretty beautiful thing, and it serves you in life.
Somebody pinch me. It's almost like anything that comes out of Danny's mouth is a sacred piece of wisdom that I should be writing down and studying.
Food insecurity. Do you think we carry some responsibility in helping with food insecurity? You know, you hear a lot about chefs today, they talk about organic produce, carbon footprint. Should we be leaders when it comes to all of those things?
I think we have a platform, and not every restaurateur is responsible for using their platform, or can be responsible for using their platform. Believe me, you know this business as well as I do. For a lot of people, it's enough just to get the doors open and serve people and close the doors at night, call it a day. But I think that for whatever reason, our society has shined a light on restaurants, and it's become part of the social fabric of our country. And so I think that if a chef or a restaurateur has the light shine on them, I think there is a responsibility to use your platform. It's a good thing. We want to be held to a higher standard, and then we want to show the way. And if we do it responsibly, we can make societal change pretty quickly. Hospitality doesn't stop at the four walls of our restaurants. So we do whatever we can do to care for the people who are inside of our restaurants. But if it's genuine caring, it needs to happen outside the four walls as well. That gives us an opportunity to use a gift that we have, which is caring for people, and help people outside of our restaurants as well.
When you come up with these different concepts, where do you get your inspirations from? Is it from your travels? Or how did you cross over into the hamburger industry?
Almost every single restaurant we open is a combination of 5 or 6 different experiences that I've had that I've loved that I want to share with other people. Sometimes more than 5 or 6 different experiences. As far as Shake Shack is concerned, I can draw a straight line to St. Louis. That's where I learned smash burgers, Steak and Shake, Fitz's, Carl's. I can think about crinkle cut fries. So many places in St. Louis. What's the place that makes the great milkshakes and the mile high BLT sandwich?
Crown Candy?
Crown Candy Kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, what a great feeling when you get your malt or your milkshake, and then they give you the little extra on the side, right, out of the silver cup because it didn't all fit into the glass. All those experiences added up for me. We didn't open Shake Shack with any intention whatsoever that it was going to become a chain, never mind an international business, never mind a public company. This all started by having a hot dog cart in the middle of Madison Square Park as part of a piece of art.
Have you ever had a Danish hot dog?
Skal vi have et pølse?
Yeah.
Senape?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those. Come on, those are some of my favorite hot dogs. In fact, I'd love to have one right now with the fried onions on
Oh
top.
yeah, oh, it's good stuff. There was a hot
yeah.
dog cart here at some point.
There was in Grand Central for just a little while.
Okay, well, we might have to collaborate on that.
Yeah, those
idea.
are good. Those are
good.
really, really good.
Yeah,
There's one in the airport in Copenhagen that
there is.
I like going to on my way out just to get that last taste.
We all need food to survive. Food is nourishment. Food is familiar. But what happens when you don't know when or where your next meal is coming from? Last year, over 49 million people received help from Feeding America's 200 partner food banks, sourcing and distributing healthy, nutritious food. We all need food to survive, but also to thrive. To find your nearest food bank and help make a difference, visit feedingamerica.org. Because above all,
This city has its own energy. Like a magnet, it pulls people in. Danny was one of those people.
I come here jazz at night or go see a Broadway play or go to the art museum. Always eat in restaurants. And when I was just intoxicated by the energy here.
And one of the places that he put a significant amount of energy is Madison Square Park. When he set up Union Square Hospitality in a building across the street from here, he made it a part of his mission to breathe new life into the park as well.
This park was named after the original Madison Square Garden, and this whole park fell into disrepair. And we came here in 1996. We signed a lease to open 11 Madison Park in Tabla, and we helped to create the Madison Square Park Conservancy because the park was in complete disrepair. It's dangerous, ugly, and I had read this book called The Alienist by Caleb Carr, describing what the park had been like in its heyday. And there was a restaurateur by the name of Charlie Delmonico, and wherever Delmonico's went in the city was the next hot neighborhood. So he had just opened a restaurant on that corner. I said, this is 100 years later. What if we could be like the Charlie Delmonico of our era?
Yeah.
But let's make this park beautiful, because if I'm gonna name a restaurant 11 Madison Park after this park, the park itself better be great. So we went around and we raised $11 million to completely restore the park, make it beautiful again, make it safe.
This commitment ultimately led to the establishment of another new concept and made Madison Square Park the site of the first Shake Shack.
That is gonna be amazing. Cheers.
I've said it before, it's the simple things. It's hard to beat a burger and fries done the right way.
How am I gonna do that?
And with Shake Shack locations in 19 different countries now, they've got it done to a science.
One more fry.
New York's architecture is reason enough to spend the day on foot, in awe of the enduring parts of each street's history. Icons like the Flatiron stands as a monument to the rise and development of one of the greatest cities in the world. And speaking of monuments, when it came to choosing a location to open the now iconic Gramercy Tavern, the building's history was the deciding factor.
One of the things I found fascinating when we were looking at the site, when this building was the home of a military uniform company. And the name of the company was N.S. Meyer. And when I saw my own name on top of the building, I said,
It's meant to be.
it is meant to be.
Gramercy Tavern, Danny's answer to the neighborhood pub tradition.
This is a piece of art done by my brother-in-law. It's what he thought an old tavern sign would look like. This is our daughter, Hallie, when she was 1, that he put in the picture. She's now 30.
We are doing our meatloaf iteration right now. So on the bottom, you have a little bit of a cauliflower puree, a little bay leaf oil, some butter glazed beets, and we have some really beautiful flowering cauliflower that gets grilled off. And the meatloaf itself is made out of duck, so we'll take a little duck demi-glaze right over the top. And then we've got some beautiful chicories and beets that are in season right now. We've got these beautiful grapes that have been pickled, kind of give it a nice little last-minute pop. And that's our meatloaf.
All the details are covered inside.
This was an opportunity to explore the meaning of tavern and to see if we could create a place that, in our mind, had been the tavern of the Gramercy Park neighborhood forever.
It gives you the impression that this place has been here since the beginning. It truly is a part of the neighborhood. Only a short walk down the street finds us at our last stop, where it all began. Union Square Cafe was the beginning of Union Square Hospitality Group and the start of a new era. This place has been the launching pad for a new generation of hospitality, in a university of sorts for scores of restaurant professionals. You can really tell that there's so much attention paid to all the details. In the kitchen, executive chef Lena Tardulo keeps the Union Square tradition fresh and innovative.
This is a rabbit cacciatora, so a ragu with porcini and rabbit.
You want to try that, don't you?
Yeah, it looks delicious. I can already feel my head is swelling from all that's absorbed today. The charm of my job is that I can find myself in situations like this, getting a personal tour of some of the best restaurants in NYC. Anywhere, actually. And my guide is the hospitality Jesus himself. I mean that in a respectful way, of course. But seriously, whose life is this?
Well, it's great to be with you. You've taught me that food is love, and hopefully I've even shown you that hospitality is also love.
You have. You have.
Thanks for spending the day with me.
Right behind me here is one of these carts. You see them all over New York. A hot dog stand, but they sell so many different kinds of foods. Can you imagine being a chef? You're standing outside in all kinds of weather. Not necessarily the best kind of job. Think about how much cash you could make here in one day, but you got to be a special kind of person wanting that job.
Experiencing New York with Danny as a tour guide is every chef's wet dream. It has been a day to remember. But before I leave town, I'm poking my head into some of Danny's other spots as a way to keep the dream alive.
We're at Manhattan. Incredible restaurant, incredible view. This is just a perfect place to experience New York food and cocktails. The views here are spectacular. If there is any place you want to sit and dine and experience the views of New York, this is the place.
This is the kohlrabi. It's our vegetarian winter citrus dish. So this is fennel cream here, cara oranges, and pomelos. And we have these salted lime quads here, and the kohlrabi itself. So these are ends of the fennel that we use for garnish. These are nasturtium flowers. Just a little bit of kombu oil. Then we finish it with a fennel granite. It's salted and then lightly fermented, so it almost has like a kimchi flavor to it.
I think I can be a vegetarian now.
Across town in Battery Park, it's Blue Smoke, a restaurant collab with barbecue pitmaster and legend Mike Mills.
Amy, his daughter, they were the people that helped us get Blue Smoke started.
Brought the aroma of wood smoke and barbecue ribs to the streets of the Big Apple, offering southern-inspired sides like deviled eggs, mac and cheese, and baked beans that would make your mother blush. I personally couldn't leave town without a visit to the Modern, located at the Museum of Modern Art. This Michelin restaurant is helmed by the talented chef Thomas Allen.
It's 3 kinds of eggs.
Who worked his way through the ranks at several of Danny's restaurants, starting as a line cook at Blue Smoke until eventually becoming executive chef here. A well-organized open kitchen that gives all the disciplines European vibes, and a dining experience that offers the range from an upscale dining room to a slightly more relaxed experience at the bar.
It has the complete offering. You can come here for 30 minutes after work for a beer and a tarte flambe, or you can sit down for 4.5 hours and drink some of the best wines ever produced in the world. We call it eggs on eggs on eggs. Hey guys, food is loved.
And lastly, while I'm still in Manhattan, I may as well have one. Porchlight is Danny's version of the cocktail bar. It has the same atmosphere as your favorite watering hole.
I couldn't possibly find a better way to end my time here in New York with a Porchlight Manhattan.
Cheers.
Hospitality doesn't stop at the four walls of our restaurants. That gives us an opportunity to use a gift that we have.
At the end of this whirlwind tour of enlightenment, I find myself dizzy with inspiration, inspired by the city, inspired by the food, and of course inspired by my time in the presence of greatness. My only hope is that some of the magic might have rubbed off on me, hopeful that some nugget of wisdom or way of thinking might make me a better restaurateur. Here in the Midwest, Alton may not be New York City, but I find myself appreciating history and the architecture here more than ever. Admittedly, Danny's energy and positive perspective stir up old feelings of running a restaurant again, but rather than trying to compose a dish to sum up my journey, I feel more inclined to serve up a line from one of Danny's books. Within moments of being born, most babies find themselves receiving the first 4 gifts of life: eye contact, a smile, a hug, and some food. We receive many other gifts in a lifetime, but few can ever surpass those first 4. That first time may be the purest hospitality transaction we'll ever have, and it's not much of a surprise that we'll crave those gifts for the rest of our lives. I know I do. And that's the essence of Food is Love.
How do you become the top online seafood company in the United States? You earn it. We are the only company that catches, processes, and directly sells seafood right to our customers. We have a 4.9 Google rating with over 800 reviews and the highest customer satisfaction. To have the best seafood delivered right to your door, order from the original, WildAlaskaSalmonandSeafood.com. Look for my face on the logo to ensure you're getting the best. Now you know the guy that caught your dinner.
Okay, gumbo it is.
What if there was a way to feed the hungry and at the same time give them dignity?
The answer is this simple token.
We developed the currency of caring to act as a form of payment for participating restaurants and food trucks, and is a key to providing a warm, dignified meal to those who need it most.
You want to try something new?
Donations fuel the currency. Now helping feed others has never been easier.
Either as a participating restaurant, food truck operator, or as someone who wants to pay it forward by donating. Please visit currencyofcaring.com because food really is love.